Now somebody can unmute and let me know that whether the screen is visible.
Yes, madam.
Yes,
The
ma'am,
screen
the
is
screen
visible,
is-
madam.
Thank you, thank you, thank
Not
you.
at all.
So now let's start with our first lecture. That is renewable energy for sustainable development. I select topic because energy is heart and soul of the if we think about some development, then I think there is some echo from where this is coming. 1 minute. Now I am okay. My voice is coming. I think my voice is coming. I think.
Ma'am, still we are getting an echo.
Okay.
Please
So
take audio.
renewable energy for sustainable. Yeah. For sustainable. Yeah.
This is echoing, ma'am.
Echo. There is some lag.
This is echoing, ma'am.
Yeah. There is some lag. Somebody was saying. Somebody was suggesting some. Can I just listen what the person is saying?
Ma'am, your voice is breaking
So
as
am
well
I-
as we are getting an echo.
So am I? What? I'm not able to hear you clearly. Can you just repeat it again?
Hello, ma'am. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Ma'am,
Yeah.
first of all, we are
Yeah.
getting an echo.
Yeah.
And in between your voice is breaking also.
I can also feel that. That's why I'm checking with the wait for a while. And I am just coming back. So the topic of the first talk is renewable energy for sustainable development. Renewable energy. Before I talk about renewable energy, I will like to talk about energy itself. All of us are aware how important energy is. If I am speaking, if I am just communicating with all the people sitting at different parts of India, that is possible only due to energy. One is the energy that as a human being I am carrying. The other is the energy part that is connecting all of us. Okay, so that means there is some energy which goes in the form of electricity, some other form things, so that this virtual platform is able to a sense of being. So is an important aspect. And what sort of energy, what sort of development is second. If humans are alive, we are living in a world that is due to energy. So first thing is survival, then is the development. So let's talk the survival thing. So if energy is there, the mankind, the human is there on this planet, on this earth. So then comes the point of development. So if we are living at some place, we aim for some developments because we want an environment that is actually comfortable for our growth. So in that sense, if we need an environment that is comfortable for our growth, so that means we are aiming towards a development. But that it will be a sustainable development if that uh, environment which is cozy to us will be cozy for our coming generations too. So if we are making the development in such a sense that the development is a development for us and for the coming generations too, then development is known as the sustainable development. But the development is development for us, but that is actually a reason of cry for our coming generation. Then that development will not be a sustainable development. So now the point is the energy and development we have discussed, but now today we will focus on a source of energy that is not going to end, or even if it is going to end, it will end at a period that is not actually we can predict right now. It is going to last for millions of years. Why I am saying so? Because sun, if we talk about the solar energy, if we talk about the sun, so we are aware that our sun is going to become a red giant after billions of years. But when it is going to become red giant, then at that particular time, it is going to grow up in size, and it will just swallow up nearby planets. So I'm not coming to that age. I'm coming to the age of like when the earth is no more, then the no more development is there. So I'm talking about a development for coming thousands of years, coming 10,000s of years. So I am talking about the renewable energy as a source, which is actually a continuous source, which is not going to last. So before I start with this topic, I cannot miss this: one sun, one world, one grid. This is the dream of our Honorable Prime Minister, that if there is a one sun, then there should be one grid which can provide the required energy demands to our one world, not one nation. It is one sun, one word, one grid, because the sun is shining over the complete planet. It is not making a demarcation between India and different countries. So one sun, one word, and one grid. This is the vision that actually our Prime Minister has given us, and this I know that the participants who are here all belongs to renewable energy sector. So let's join our hands together to make this dream come true. So energy is neither created nor destroyed, it just changes shape. So before we come with the theme of renewable energy, I will just ask you to go back with the energy concept, that the energy is neither created nor destroyed, it just changes its shape. So if energy is harnessed in a meaningful way, that energy can develop the mankind. But if this energy is not harnessed in a meaningful way, and it is left to just go away, and the people are not able to harness it uh, in a direction where the growth is with it, that energy is present, but that energy is not utilized. So we have to think over this line again and again, how to use every single bit of energy so that the development process is not hampered by the scarcity of the energy. So now because renewable energy development is there, so let us, this is uh, a man which is actually participating in a race. And when he is going to participate in the race, he has enough food, so that, and he had the food because he want the energy. So now he has geared up himself so that he is having 100% of energy, and he can give 100% of energy in that race because he wants to win that race. So now this man is with 100% of energy, and when the race is going to start, he wants to put all 100% of its energy in it. But this he can never do. Why? Because a lot of the energy is going to get wasted. he will, as soon as he will start running, lot of friction will be there, lot of sweating will be there, lot many things will be happening in the surrounding, which will actually take away the energy of this sports person, which he wants to put on the running track. So here we can see that the 75% of the energy is going as a waste, is going as a heat energy to the environment. So he started with a notion that he's going to give all 100% of energy as the work, and he's going to win the race because he wants to convert all 100% as the on the track. But only 25% of its complete energy is going to give on the track. So maybe the other sports person is able to give 27% of its energy, and he wins the race. So this is the case that we must always keep in mind. If we want to improve the renewable energy sector, if we want our government to meet the set target of the renewable energy, then we have to increase this portion. So this portion is actually known as the efficiency. Because if we talk about the energy efficiency, we will say that the useful output energy upon the total input energy. So as here we can see that the total input energy was, suppose it was the 100, and the useful output energy is 25. So only 25% of the energy was being utilized. So the energy efficiency is 25%, and that is not enough. We can increase the energy efficiency. So as we increase the energy efficiency, we can actually accelerate our growth, to meet the set renewable energy targets. So this was a simple diagram which actually I want to start with, because if we want to talk about the renewable energy sector, we have to talk about the technology, we have to talk about the efficiency. So now let's go back in our childhood days. I don't know, I have seen lot many professors and assistant professors and associate professors are there. So I think lot many crowd is here, which is above 40 in age. And I'm not sure of the people who are actually just 35 years, or I don't know whether they have enjoyed this thing in their childhood or not. What we used to do, we used to tear paper into small bits, and then what we used to do, we used to focus the sun rays using some lens, and we used to burn this paper. I did this in my childhood, so I can just remember this particular experiment. So that means at that particular moment we were aware that there is a source of energy. So this source of energy is a sun, and we were aware that this sun is shining since the day of my birth. So that means that is always there. So this is a source which actually is there. And why we needed a lens in order to burn that paper, in order to burn that small bits of paper, because we wanted to converge the rays so that the energy at a particular point can be enhanced, and the energy is enhanced in such a way that this paper actually burns. So this is the technology, this is the source, this which actually this generation has to think. We have to think that what source is actually a renewable source, is a source which is going to last forever. And this is the technology that we have to build up. At that particular time, we were aiming to burn small bits of paper. Suppose I want to burn small pieces of wood, then this lens is not going to work, because this lens cannot convert sufficient energy so that it can burn that small pieces of wood. So that means this technology needs a change. This technology needs a thoughtful mind. We need a efficient technology so that this source, which is an unlimited energy source, can give us energy in a meaningful way. So I think you will be able to correlate your childhood memories with this renewable energy, with this small diagram. And now I will come with the second slide, which is actually the second childhood memory that I want to share with you. At that particular time, we were having a small windmills which were made up of paper, and we used to feel too good when we saw that windmill is actually rotating with the touch of wind. So that time the rotation was actually telling us that wind is giving us the energy, and that wind energy is rotating that windmill, and that was a small windmill which was made up of a piece of paper, and it was actually placed on a straw. So, and then we used to run with that windmill. So because we were running, that means we were crossing the a more cross-sectional area. So that means we tried to increase the speed of that particular windmill that we were having in our hand. So everything was there. Initially, the sun rays were there, which we were aware that this is a source of renewable energy. Here the wind was there, which actually we were aware that wind is a source of energy, and the only thing the was required was harnessing of that energy. So I have just placed a, small image and saying don't let that wind pass unused. So we have to think about the technology which actually can harness the natural resources in a meaningful way. And everybody is aware that the natural resources are full of energy. We know this since our childhood. So this was a simple illustration of our childhood memories. So now let us come to the renewable energy sector. I had just joined these of images that I have showed in the previous slide, and I have just shown this hierarchical diagram, which contains the source at the first stage, and then it's a technology, and then it's the energy. That means a meaningful selection of the source is required. And suppose we are able to select a good source which is actually giving us some huge amount of energy, then what is required? We need a technology. Because if we are going to place the paper simply beneath the sun, it is not going to burn. That means we need some technology so that that technology can gather this energy, harness this energy to do meaningful work. So this technology is required. And as I told by this diagram, the efficiency of this technology will play an important role in meeting our energy needs. So this is a simple hierarchical diagram which I wanted to show you before I come to the topic of sustainable development. So development is is a process which we country want. So yes, because we don't want to remain behind. We want to be in the race of the developed. So that race we cannot quit. But if that race is on the cost of our upcoming generation, then we have to think how we can actually match that race without compromising our coming generation. So if that is the thought in our mind, so that means we are thinking about the sustainable development. So if we talk about the sustainable development, that is a very big, huge word, which I cannot say in few few words. But I have tried to demonstrate that sustainable development by drawing these three pillars. And I know that this is a small illustrative version of sustainable development, but I will make it clear by these three diagrams. So for sustainable development, there are three pillars. The economy, the second is the society, the environment. So that means when these three pillars are actually coming together, then we can think of a sustainable development. So how we have to internet these three pillars? Suppose we are coming up with a source not economical, then that development cannot be a sustainable development, because if it is not economical, then it means in order we are wasting our economy, that can be a waste of money. That because the first thing that is required is the human's daily need, the need of the people, the daily need of the people is the first priority, and then if that daily need includes energy, then we have to think about energy alternative which is really economical. So that means economy is a pillar of the sustainable development, and then comes the society. The society is not for the rich, the society is not for the middle, the society is not for the poor, the society is a mixture of all. That means if we talk about society, we come from the poor to the rich. So if we are saying that we are considering the society, that means we are considering who is in this society. So the society means every person living in society, and then it is gaining importance in the coming years, because in past we, in our ignorance, maybe we have done some harm to the environment, which our upcoming generations have to pay. But now, being a responsible citizen, we cannot afford of neglecting the environment. So that means we have to be talking about the, we have to think about the environment. We cannot talk about development on the stake of the environment. So every three, that means these three pillars, when they are knitted together with the policies and the institutions, they will bring up a sustainable development. So this is what actually I wanted to say, but there are a lot many people who are actually working in this area, and they can come up with this sustainable development thought in many other ways. So that is also a method to talk about the sustainable development. But rest of the development is a development that is going to sustain for years without compromising the needs of our upcoming generation. So that is what actually I wanted to say. So this is a simple diagram where actually I have shared the three sectors: social, environment, and economic sector. So we can see that environment and economic sector shares a common platform that is viable. That means we want the technology, we want technology that is economical and that is environment friendly for a sustainable social development. So in the same way, equitable and bearable. So these are the things that actually join hand in hand to make the society of our nation uh, proceed on the path of the development, which will be the sustainable development. So I will just read this sentence for you. Sustainable development can be classified as a development that meets the needs of the present without compromising the ability of the future generation. So that is what actually I wanted to say in my previous slides. So few words I have highlighted over here. That means that will include a human development based on the natural resources. Will cover the ecosystem services, and economy and society will be the partners. So now we the first sentence that I started with was energy. I am speaking because I am having energy. So energy holds the power, and nobody can deny this. So if uh, there is energy, that means you have the power. And the more the energy, the more the power. The more the energy, the more the development. The more the energy, the more is the growth. So that means we are aiming for the development of the nation. We have to come up with the definite sources of energy so that the energy uh, demand actually order to uh, path of the development is actually there in the society. The deficit of the energy cannot be entertained if we want to progress, uh, if we want to make our country progress and come in the line of the developed nation. So that is the thought I actually uh, I have written this in chapter. Energy holds the power, but what is energy? How to harness it? This is what we have to think. That is why we have gathered here in order to think and in order to come up with some fruitful conclusion for this energy part. So let us think how this uh, economic development and we can accelerate the social progress. So need of integration of renewable energy with nations sustainable means if we want to the nation and resources renewable energy. So I have pointed few things over here that are actually of immediate concern, but these immediate concern actually belong to all sectors of the society. So that means if we want to get a progress, we have to make every sector of the society come on the path of progress. So I have mentioned like expanding access to electricity. That means if you are sitting in a rural area or if you are sitting in the urban area, we must have equal access to the electricity. And there should be a 24-hour access to the electricity. And how we can meet this demand, that we have to think. And to clean cooking, the is the access to clean cooking fuels. And at that same time, I will just add one more line that I actually have not written here. with generators, huge generators and power backups. But what about the villages which are not having that good hospitals with power backups? That means we have to ensure continuous energy to those villages also, because the healthcare facility is important and it is of prime importance in this pandemic era. So, uh, initially I said that the society, economics and environment, but because I'm an energy, so I am in love with E word. So I am talking the interplay of 3E, that is the energy, economics and the environment. So if we are going to mix these three things together in a in good proportion, then actually we can think of a society which is a developed society, which is a clean society, which is actually a healthy society. So let us, I will just say a few things over here because I can see that the time is running very fast. So I will not come up with the entire slide, but I will mention few important things that are coming to my mind and I have highlighted it over here. Do more with less. How we can get uh, good proportion of energy, so we can increase the efficiency. Do more with less. That means if you increase the efficiency, you can give more output with the same amount of energy. Otherwise, the energy is actually wasted. When we are converting the energy into meaningful energy, we are harnessing the energy. A huge amount of energy gets waste. So we have to increase efficiency and increase the technology also, so that with a small amount of energy we can do a huge amount of work. And then we have to make inaccessible resources accessible, because if we go just 20 years, so at that particular time the renewable energy was not a word that was actually discussed between the people so frequently. That at that particular time the society was not aware of these resources which were actually there, but the people were not aware. The research was going on. I completely agree. But until and unless the society is aware of that particular resource, then the only research work cannot be society. So make the inaccessible resources accessible. And then while doing these two things, we have to keep one thing in our mind: reduce harmful emissions. So this is how we have to think about the energy sector. And then we are actually we import lot many, they're like petrol or the fuel that actually our vehicles are using is being imported. So why we are depending on a form of energy which is imported from some other country? We should develop our own resources so that we can meet our energy demands with our own technology, with our own resources. So that is the self-sufficiency and diversity. So we have to think about the diverse resources so that we can be self-sufficient. Then comes the responsibilities and reform. We keep on crying about lot many things, but we don't think about the responsibilities, what actually every individual citizen should keep in mind. First thing that I will say, that the first responsibility that we are having, without talking about the renewable energy, is don't waste energy. So this, if we are going to carry this notion in our daily life, then actually we can save a lot of energy which can be used by our upcoming generation. Then comes the responsibility of the government. So the government should come up with lot many policies which are actually friendly for the renewable energy sector. Because if the policies, and I can see that the government is paying much of attention on the renewable energy sector, and he is coming up with lot many policies which are actually renewable energy friendly. So if there are lot many policies which are renewable energy friendly, and that means we must be aware of those policies, and we must actually go through those policies before we come to the technology part, because the policy is the fundamental zone of any business. So we must uh, go into the policies, we must go into our introspection regarding the energy purpose. So the energy security for the upcoming generation is our duty, and that we are going to give with the renewable energy landmarks that government has already set for the year. Then the economy part. So there are many things that we have to think so that we can get a liberalized market. So the renewable energy, if we want to get a renewable energy contribution in our daily life, then the renewable energy market should get equal importance as other energies are having in a world platform. And it should be affordable also. So ensuring affordability. So in such a way so that even the poor sector or the sector which is not economically well off can afford the energy to sustain himself, her, or her family. So that means we are living in a very important era. We are living in an era which is a time of transition. So this is a time of transition, and if we are a part of that time of transition, then that means we can make a history. So if we want to make a uh, history, that means we have to put 100% of our efforts. We have to initially increase our efficiency from 25% to at least 80%. Not 100%, because 100% is not an ideal thing we cannot achieve. We are a human being, we cannot be ideal. We can actually think of reaching some limit. So we are living in an era which is actually dominated by the conventional energy resources, conventional energy technology. So in every aspect, we are living in an era, but this is a time of transition. So many things are coming so that we can easily shift to the renewable energy era. And these are the few things that are over here, like growth in capacity and production. So we have to see the growth and production of the renewable energy, increased deployment and cost reduction. Obviously, the deployment of the renewable energy should be increased and the cost should be reduced. And growth in renewable energy sector, market creation and expansion and technology development. This plays a very important role. Renewable energy support policies, which actually the government is looking in, but because we have to travel a lot of distance, means these policies needs to travel a lot of distance. So, and I have put only few things on this. There are many more which should be added in order to get a smooth transition to the renewable energy. And please remember that we are a part of time of transition. So we have to make this transition smooth for upcoming generation. So this is just a diagram for people who, I know everyone is well versed in renewable energy and they are listening just because every person speaks differently. So maybe I come up with some different aspect of the renewable energy sector, and that's why you are listening to me so patiently. I know that every participant over here is a good orator and is very well versed in renewable energy sector, but still because I am there for a talk, so I am coming up with this slide also. So this is a greenhouse emission chart which is on the y-axis, and then on the x-axis we are showing all the energy resources which are generally conventionally used or which will be used by the new upcoming society. So we can see that if we are coming to the newer version of the energy or the version of the energy, then we are reducing this greenhouse emission, which is actually going to. And I will ask you to pay attention to this thing also, because when I was about the nuclear energy, I will say a lot about nuclear energy, because with the renewable energy sector, nuclear energy is also one of my favorite fields. So you can see that if we go by the selection of the nuclear energy, we can reduce the emission to a great extent. So now let's move to the other slide. So this is what we are targeting. So there are a lot many, if we talk about the milestones which are set by our government, so that is 2022 milestone and then 2030 milestone. So these are the milestone where actually we will progress a lot, but still when we are going to achieve a 2030 milestone, then further milestones will be set so that we can come to this renewable energy. So that a huge amount of work is required in order to get a transition from this to a renewable energy. So this is how the platform is set by our government for the renewable energy sector. So see that we are aiming for 175 gigawatts of energy by the sector by 2022. And if we just go through the bifurcation of the different renewable energy forms which are going to contribute to this energy, so we can see that the roughly 100 gigawatts of the energy that we are going to get over here is coming from the solar. That means solar is bearing the largest share of the 2022 target. So that means largest shareholder is the solar energy. So I will discuss the solar energy in the upcoming slide. So we will discuss it in detail. And then the next responsibility goes to the sector, is the 60 gigawatt. And that means this is the second highest contribution to the total target of renewable energy target set by our government. And then comes to the biomass, that is 10 gigawatt, and then comes the small hydro, that is 5 gigawatt. And when we are going to combine all the renewable energy sources together, we will be able to meet this 175 gigawatt. So this is the first milestone, this 2022. And the second milestone, as I have shown, 2030. So this is the second milestone that we are aiming. That is actually, we can say this is 3 times higher than what actually we are aiming in 2020. And the span is that we are aiming in 2022, and the span is just a year, 8 years. So think of the target and think of the efforts that actually the Indians have to put to meet the renewable energy target that government has set for the India. So this is our target of 450 gigawatts set by the government for 2030. And these are the contributions that are desired by the different sectors. So as I I was going through the milestones like 2022 and 2030. And 2022, I said that the major uh, responsibility is given to the solar energy, because 100 gigawatt is going to be produced by the solar. So the first slide that I have taken over here is the solar energy. And before I start with the solar energy, I'll just give a brief introduction of the solar energy. That is actually that needs to be there in the back of your mind, because if we are talking about any sort of energy resources, we must be aware from where that energy is coming and how we are getting that energy and how we can harness that energy. So the sun is a good source of energy, and the energy is generated by the fusion of the hydrogen fusion, which is going to produce helium. And in this fusion, a lot of energy is liberated, and this energy is transmitted to the earth. So if energy is reduced in the at the core of the sun, then it will take thousands of years to come to the earth. Whenever I ask any student how much time the energy takes from sun, how much time the energy takes to travel from sun to earth, they will say 8 minutes. But it is the outermost layer of the sun that is known as the corona, which actually, if energy is going to start from there, if an electromagnetic wave is going to start from there, then it is going to take 8 minutes to reach you. But if the things are happening, but everything is happening at the core of the sun. So you are talking about the core of the sun. Then the time taken by that energy to reach the earth is thousands of years. So that should be clear in our mind, because we know that the energy, the sun is the source of energy, but at certain time our sun is going to become a red giant, and it is going to swallow all the all the nearest 3 planets, and it will lie somewhere between, it will just swallow the earth, and then it will become a red giant. So if the sun is going to swallow up the at that particular time, we will never talk about the sustainable development, because if the earth is not there, then there is no need of talking about the sustainable development. But this particular process is going to take millions, billions of years. So we are talking about the development for the thousands of years. So, but this was just a vision for the sun, because if we are taking sun as our energy source, the picture of the sun should be clear in our mind. So the energy that is being produced by the sun is by the process of the nuclear fusion. So everybody is aware. So if the energy is going to start from the core, it is going to take thousands of years. But the corona, if it is going to start from the corona, it will take 8 minutes. So the corona, lot many photons are coming from the corona, and lot many are coming from the core. So it doesn't matter how the and from where the photon is coming, but photon is carrying the energy. So the energy is transmitted. Even if there is a vacuum, the energy is being transmitted. So now, then what matters a lot? That is the spectral distribution. That means at a particular position, how much energy we are getting per unit area per second. That's why we used a convex lens to burn the pieces of paper, because the sun energy or the sun rays that were coming per unit area, per unit time, was not sufficient to burn that particular paper. That means much of energy was required. That means the energy distribution or the flux distribution of the sun is of prime importance. So before we go to the technology, we must be aware of the spectrum of the flux or the flux of the sun. Flux is the energy per unit area per unit time. So that is a very important aspect that should be in our mind before we discuss about the technology. Then comes the technology part. So now the energy is there, and we are aware how much energy is falling per unit area, per unit time, and how the variation of the energy is there over our entire that is known as the Earth. So everything is there, and how the energy is varying with the latitude, how it is varying with the longitude. So we are aware of everything. Now the next important thing is the technology. So now we must come up with a technology which is actually a technology which can harness the solar energy into a meaningful energy. So these technologies are actually broadly divided into two categories, that is solar photovoltaic and solar thermal. So I'm coming on that in this particular slide, but there are certain technologies, and we have to think about the technology, not only the technology, new technologies. If there is some old technology, then we must think about the efficiency upgradation of that old technology. Because if some old technology is there, then we have to spend a smaller amount of money in order to upgrade that technology. That means every time we must not always look for a new technology, because if we have to test a new technology, then we have to spend a lot of money in testing that technology. And if some technology is already tested, and if we can increase the efficiency of that particular technology, that is very good an idea. And if that we can do, then that will be a wonderful job. But of course, that technologies are not sufficient enough to meet our targets. That means increase with the increased efficiency, we must come up with new technologies also. But before we come with the new technologies, we must thoroughly go through the pros and cons. Why I'm talking about the pros and cons? We are with the solar photovoltaic cell. So if we talk about a solar photovoltaic, then the life of a photovoltaic cell is roughly 25 years. Then what about that particular photovoltaic cell after 25 years? How we can recycle those photovoltaic so that our environment is not at risk. If we are inventing a technology, then at the same time, that is the need of the society, and that is the duty of the science. That is the duty of the like a bird to our upcoming generation. So we cannot do that. So uh, that means we must think about the pros and cons, and by keeping all these things in our mind, We are aiming to reach our target of 2022. That is a huge target. But actually, we have to think a lot on these two technologies, uh, not only in terms of their efficiency and new technology, but in terms of the uh, garbage that is going to be there after a certain time. So I know that this slide is a very basic slide for you people, but still, because this slide is there, I will just go through it. What actually in solar photovoltaic, we actually use the solar energy to convert it into electricity, and electricity is the is a use of energy which can run lot many things. You can do anything using it. But if we are using solar thermal cells, what we used to keep a bucket of water in the sun when the geysers were not so very readily used by every house. So what we used to do, we used to keep a bucket of water in the sun. So that was the use of the solar energy as a solar thermal. There are two different ways of using solar energy. You can directly use the solar energy and convert it into electricity, so that you can do, you can do for interest, and you can just use that solar energy as solar. Okay, so this is actually a few things that I have written over here. One thing I will like to say, because I can see that I am left with roughly 1 hour and I have not reached the half slide. So I am going a bit fast. So if I can see this particular slide, uh, and we have discussed it earlier also that 100 gigawatt responsibility goes to the solar. So we must come up with certain policies which are known as a renewable purchase obligation, because if these obligations are there with the discoms and every sector, then actually that is going to help us to reach this target. And the waiver of interstate transmission system charges is also required, because if certain policy is actually demanding more money from a businessman, so the businessman always looks for the for some sort of benefit, what he or she can derive by that particular business. So if lot many taxes are there, and if they think that in that particular business they will not be able to uh, create a huge generate a huge chunk of money, then they will not get inclined to that particular business. So these are the few things that I've written here. Definitely, I will pass this uh, PDF to all the participants, so it will be with you, and you can go through every point minutely. So this is where we are. We are standing here. We are standing at this stage that we are having 40.9 gigawatt production today. So, and how much is required till 2020 to 59.91, or roughly you can say 60. So that means we have to do a lot. That means we have to stand on our toes in order to meet this huge energy target set by the government. So, but the major problem is this COVID-19 pandemic that is actually there. And this COVID-19 pandemic, we should think of some these type of virtual platforms where actually we can discuss with the upcoming technologies, upcoming ways, upcoming thoughts, so that we can actually accelerate the growth from 40.9 to 59.91 in the 6 month time. So you can just feel the 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 need of the exponential growth, or the rate of the growth that is required by us, by the society, in order to meet the set target by the government. Now I will take a 1 minute break, because uh, after that I am going to start it again.
Madam, it's not audible. Madam, your voice is not there.
And now I am audible.
Yes, ma'am. It's
Participants
audible.
Okay, thank you. Thanks a lot for letting me know that. So that means I will just repeat it again. That when we were child, we used to hold a wind in our hand, and we used to cherish of that windmill. But that rotation was due to the kinetic energy of the wind, and that particular rotation was due to the energy. And if able to harvest energy so that that energy can give us a meaningful energy, then that is a wonderful thing that a science can do. So these are the windmills or the wind turbines. Now again, the voice is echoing, I think. Now it's okay. So these are the windmills. These are not the small windmills that we are holding in our hands. So then the technology actually developed, and there are windmills which can harness the wind energy. So
Ma'am,
there are
vertical axis turbine, I'm not getting correctly.
so vertical axis. There
Can you
are
please?
yeah. Wait for it. So
Okay. Yes,
you
sir.
can see that there are certain axes on which the rotation is being made. So if we talk about the axis on which rotation is being made, here we are talking
Okay.
about the axis, okay, not about the blades.
Yes.
So this is the axis on which the rotation. So the horizontal axis turbine and vertical turbine. So I think now I am clear. So there are two type of turbines: horizontal axis turbine and vertical axis turbine. And efficiency is the most important factor that plays role. And when we talk about the energy harnessing of energy, so this is a simple pictorial diagram for different type of wind turbines, and we can see that different wind turbines reactor power coefficients are different, and the maximum power that we can get is from this. So so wind turbines are typically 30 to 45% efficient. If I say about that wind turbines are 30 to 45% efficient, that means the wind that is passing through that turbine, only 30 to 35% of that wind is being used. So suppose if we are able to use 100% of the wind, then that turbine will be 100% efficient. But there are certain blank spaces, the wind will go through it. We cannot use the entire space. So suppose we take a disc type of turbine and we say that this can use 100% of, then that this turbine will have certain other flaws. So we cannot run that turbine. So generally these turbines are having efficiency of 30 to 45%. And this is the power that we can get from a wind turbine. And the different heights of wind turbine is here, and how much power that we can generate by different types of wind turbine is shown over here. And I thought this picture to be really beautiful because if this can give you a clear picture of how much a single wind turbine of a definite height can produce uh, uh, power, the power that can be generated wind turbine. There are things coming up in society for wind turbine. That is a offshore wind turbine, and there is a onshore wind turbine. So offshore wind turbine is catching impedance at a very high rate because these wind turbines actually don't need space on the earth or the space on which we are living. So these are actually mounted somewhere inside the sea, and therefore they are not hindering our living space. But actually, when we talk about the offshore wind turbines, we have to look about, and we are aware that as we travel from the middle of the India towards the coastal region, the wind speed is actually different. It differs. So as we go inside here, wind speed will definitely differ. And one more thing, that they will need a very sturdy platform to get into. So, and the one more thing, that's why I am talking about the cons of the offshore wind, and the pros actually I have told you. The people who are living in the coastal region, they say that because when we are going to we step into that coastal you and think of planting that turbine over there. So the aesthetic is when turbine uh, is hindering uh, the the main motive of the coastal area, or you can say that the travel industry of that coastal area. That coastal region people say that these wind turbines are not uh, very aesthetically very good for them. So this is one point, and lot many pros I have told you for this section. So these are the disadvantages of the wind turbines. That's true. And if we talk about the wind turbines, so the first disadvantage that I will come to share with you is that they are our own area on which actually the human being are living. So we don't want to share area with a not that actually development. Say that government initiative to go deserts and plan for a uh, some wind farms at some desert area or some lands which are actually not which are actually a wasteland. They are of no use to the people. So lot many wind farms are being developed by the government so that we can get sufficient amount of energy by using these wind turbines. Really drawback from this turbine is a noise factor also, because these wind turbines make noise, which actually the people who live nearby those wind farms, they cannot get a peaceful sleep. Because if I am sitting in this, not many people have joined this. I think, suppose 200 participants are there. So our um disturbance, like the noise, the depth of noise that can create a disturbance in our mind differs from man to man. Maybe a small amount of noise can disturb me to a extent that I am not able to sleep. But that same small amount of noise cannot disturb the other person and he can sleep peacefully. But if we are talking about the development, we have about cannot think of a development is on the cost of the sleeping cost of some person. So we have to come up with a noise factor also when we are talking about the wind turbines. So this is how the wind installation have taken place till 2020. I was not able to find a more recent picture for this installation, but definitely I am having a picture of this. So you can see that in the previous years, the onshore wind turbines were the only wind turbines that were taking place. But now the focus and the research shifting toward the offshore wind turbine. And we have fixed one lecture on offshore wind turbine in this FDP itself. And that person is going to speak on offshore wind turbine, on every aspect of that offshore wind turbine. So you must actually go through that talk very carefully, because you can see that the participation of the offshore wind turbine is actually increasing rapidly in the total installation capacity if we are looking at a 2022 picture or 2030 picture. So now comes an area which actually I am not good in, but still I will say few words about this, because if I'm talking about renewable energy, I cannot skip this bioenergy conversion thing. So before I start with bioenergy, I told you that I'm not a master of bioenergy. I can master in solar, I can master in water, but I cannot master in bioenergy. So that is back in this complete presentation, but still I will try my best to put the things forward to you. So the biomasses can be divided into two categories. That is a traditional type of biomass, and then we can go with a modern type of biomass. If we go to the traditional biomass, then we talk about the wood, the cow dung, and the charcoal. And if we talk about the modern biomass, we talk about biomass can be divided into two categories, primary biomass and the secondary biomass. So primary biomass is harnessed from the living food sources, and if we talk about secondary biomass, it can be harnessed by any type of food waste. So this is a broad classification of this. And then suppose I want to harness that biomass feed and want to convert it into energy. Then there are two technologies by which we can do that. That means we want to convert that particular biomass into a meaningful energy. So there are two different ways in which we can do that. That is by the use of heat. This actually slide is limited to the technology which uses heat. But there is another technology also that can convert the biomass feed into meaningful energy output. That is by the use of microorganisms or by the use of enzymes. So in this particular picture, see that there are three methods, that is gasification and the combustion. All the three modes are based on the use of the heat. But if we go for the other methods of biomass, bioenergy generation, which uses microorganisms or enzymes. So those are the fermentation and biomethanation and anaerobic digestion. So these are the few methods by using which we can actually convert this energy into meaningful energy. Now comes another slide, which actually I am really excited to talk about. This is the hydrogen as the energy source. So before I talk about this slide, I will talk about a general concept of our planet. So if we say that the most abundant material or the most abundant molecule that is present on this earth is hydrogen. So, but when I am talking about this abundance, I am talking only about the 5% of the visible world. So whatsoever I am seeing, I cannot say the hydrogen is the most abundant molecule and leave the sentence. Then the sentence will be incorrect. Hydrogen is the most abundant molecule which is present in the visible world. So whatsoever we are able to see is the visible world, and whatsoever we are not able to see is the dark matter and dark energy. So we don't know actually the universe is made up of matter, dark matter and dark energy. And the major portion of the universe is made up of dark matter and dark energy. So if we talk about the matter, that is only 5% of the total universe. So when I am saying that hydrogen is most abundant, that means I am talking only 5% of that visible world. I am leaving that 95% of the dark matter and dark energy. So if it is most abundant, and it is as an energy source, then it's a very welcoming idea. Then what is the problem with it? That we must really think upon. So the first thing is that we about the hydrogen that is surrounding us. It is in a combination of either carbon or in the combination of oxygen. We can get some organic gases which combine with hydrogen and form some uh, some gases, and or either in hydrogen combined with oxygen and water. So we have to extract hydrogen from those things if we want to use hydrogen as a fuel. So now, then what is the problem? Let us look at this. So hydrogen is a natural gas. There is it is a so the main the first important thing of any fuel is its calorific value. So if the calorific value of that particular fuel is high, that means that the choice of that fuel is good. So we always select a fuel whose calorific value is high. That means we will, by using small amount of fuel, we can get more energy. So that is good an idea. So that means in this particular slide, we can see that the calorific value of the hydrogen is roughly 3 times. 2-3 times. It lies between 2 to 3 times of other energy resources that we are using today. So if it is if it is having such a high calorific value, then what is the problem with this choice? So the problem with this choice is the density. First thing is the density, that you can see that the density of this this hydrogen is, that means we have to store it. Think of think of a technology that can compress it and store it. So that compression is required, so that the hydrogen molecules can be stored in a small volume. So that is one thing. And then it's diffusion, and the rest of the things are, this is the only con. The rest of the things are the pros for this hydrogen as a fuel. And now let us talk about the hydrogen as a fuel. Before I start saying anything, I will tell you that how many types of hydrogen we can think of. So we are having actually in the palette of the hydrogen, we are having gray hydrogen, we are having blue hydrogen, and we are having green hydrogen. So the gray hydrogen is the hydrogen which is having, which is in which we are extracting the hydrogen, but we are extracting the hydrogen, we are storing the hydrogen for further use, but while the extraction of the hydrogen, we are getting harmful emissions too. So that is a gray hydrogen. So first color of the hydrogen palette is the gray. Then we come to the blue hydrogen. In blue hydrogen, we opt for certain technologies which can absorb the emission of the carbon dioxides and carbon dioxides. So these type of is where our hydrogen as fuel, and we are getting harmful emissions too, but we are stopping that harmful emissions before penetrate our environment. So this type of generation of hydrogen is known as a blue hydrogen, and the green hydrogen is a hydrogen in which we generate hydrogen as our fuel cells by means of some technology which is actually a green technology or renewable energy technology. So uh, there are several number of methods where we can code these green technologies too. So let us on this slide. So that we, if before I start with this slide, I will major put this budget has got hydrogen energy technology, because in future we want to use hydrogen as a fuel for our automobile sector, and this fuel will be a promising. So we are thinking of hydrogen as a substitute fuel for our future vehicles. So we have to invest a lot of time and research in order to make this dream come into reality. So the three parts we have to focus is the first part is the production. So production, generally till now, the hydrogen that we are producing is the gray hydrogen. And if we are producing gray hydrogen, then we are getting hydrogen, but at the same time, we are using a technology not sustainable. So we will not say yes to that. So then that means we have to think about technology that is either blue or green. Go give a huge tick to the green tea. So we have to think certain modes which are uh, going the green technology, and then we the storage. So the storage is also not a easy task, because as we have seen that the density is very low. So we want pressurized tanks. So this pressurized tank itself is a new branch of research. So that means if we want to take up the storage section, that means we have to do with the pressurized tank technologies also, so that we come up with storage, certain storage options which are viable and which are affordable. So then we come to the fuel cells. So then finally what we are going to do, we use is hydrogen as a fuel cell which is going to drive our future vehicles. So the production methods involves generally thermal process, but in thermal process are generally gray or blue processes, because in these processes steam is passed through certain gases um, from which we get hydrogen. Um, Taken up by several industries like steel industry and different industry for the use of the hydrogen. But in coming era, we need a technology which is actually green in nature. So these technology needs to be replaced so that we have hydrogen gas, hydrogen molecules by using technology. Till the time we which is produced by the renewable energies. So electrolysis, what we do, we just do the electrolysis of the water molecule, and we separate the hydrogen and oxygen so that we can store the hydrogen, and then we again oxygen, we live with oxygen is further combined so that can get a water molecule. But in this technology, if we are using the traditional method for the electrolysis, then the hydrogen that we procure from this technology will not be a green hydrogen, that will either come into a gray or into a blue hydrogen category. So we have to think of these processes. Then come our biological processes. These processes are there, but till now we are not able to come up with extraction of these hydrogens. There is a total hydrogen production process and bio conversion process, which actually produces hydrogen. How to take out the hydrogen and how to store the hydrogen, the extraction of the hydrogen and the then the storage of the hydrogen, both are in the research phase, and so we have to think a lot on these processes. Then comes the storage. So we can as a company or we or cryogenically compress it. Compression is compression. Then we can get liquid hydrogen. So these are the physical processes by which we can do the compression. Then what we can do, there is a material storage also. Adsorbent, on which in this process we absorb the hydrogen molecule on the surface of some other substance. Then there is hydride, then there is some complex hydrogen. So we can go for some material-based storage also. But these, it is too early to say. These processes are still in use, but it is too early to say about these things, that which technology is going to hit on a larger platform. So this is a hydrogen fuel cell, so which can be as a technology. So the hydrogen fuel cells will impart energy and they will be able to move your vehicles. So this technology is a dream technology, which actually has to come true by proper intervention in these fields. So this with the hydrogen fuel cells, because the timing is running very fast, I will come to nuclear power. So this is as I told you, hydrogen power and nuclear power both impresses me a lot. So the nuclear power, I will just read the sentence before I start saying anything about the nuclear power. So our scientists say that if we get fusion power to work, we would never have to worry about energy again. So if the fusion power, we are able to harness the fusion power, then we don't have to worry about in our lifetime about the energy. No matter how much energy is required, we can produce it. But what is the major hindrance in this fusion process is that this is a thermonuclear reaction. So what actually is meant by thermonuclear reaction? That means these reactions requires huge amount of temperature in order to start. So a huge amount of temperature is present inside the core of the sun. It's good. That's why it is a fusion power thing that we are getting from the sun. But in order to start a reaction in our laboratory, we have to produce a similar amount of temperature at laboratory, that is gas. That's why we're talking about nuclear power. We are limited by so that's why, in spite of getting immense, one thing is, as soon as you switch to the nucleus, you do anything with the nucleus, The energy actually, if you're dealing with the atoms or the molecules, the energy that you are getting is of the EV scale. Just listen to my sentence very carefully. It is a very meaningful sentence. And as soon as we switch to the nuclear powers, the energy is increased to MeV scale, million electron volts. That means simply by switching from one stage, that means from a molecular or atomic stage to a nuclear stage, we are increasing in energy by 10 to the power 6 folds. So just imagine the beauty of getting the energy from the nuclear resources. So if we are able to come up with certain technologies which are actually viable in the laboratory frame of reference, then we don't have to worry about the energy. So this is a thermonuclear reaction that is taking place inside the sun, and I discussed it in the previous slide, so I will not just go through this slide. I will come to this slide. So that means what we need, we are dreaming of fusion reactions that can take place at lower temperatures. So those are known as cold nuclear reaction. So I have written the name of the experiment, the schematic diagram of the experimental setup of Fleischmann and Pinsky. They were the first one who said that the that this reaction can be the fusion reaction can be produced at the laboratory temperatures also. But actually, after that experiment, we were not able to progress it in terms of making it available at the laboratory level too. So this can be a starting experiment which says that yes, we can think of fusion reaction which can actually occur at certain temperatures which are not which are far below than what is required for a thermonuclear reaction. But we have to go miles before we can conclude that yes, we are having new cold nuclear fusion reactions. And with this, I really thank my audience for paying their attention and listening to me carefully. And I know it's a difficult, it's a painful task for any faculty to sit for 2 hours and to listen to someone who is saying anything, anytime. But I really respect your patience for being with me through my entire lecture. Thank you, all of you. And I think now you can, we are having a 5-minute time. And what we can do, we can start up because the next speaker is also waiting. And what we can do, we can take a common question answer query session when the second speaker ends up with his presentation. So I will be there sharing the same platform with the speaker. So I was a bit late. I'm sorry for that. I thought that I will just cover up the topics very quickly, but the renewable energy is not a small area, so it took time. Thank you for your patience. Now I hand over the things to Vishnu.